Guardian Golems, Halberd, and Archer types were never creations of the Golden Order in Elden Ring, and the evidence points toward a much older origin, one tied to the forgotten civilizations that existed long before the Earth Tree dominated the lands between. While the Golden Order certainly uses massive constructs, everything from their architecture, locations, design philosophy, and possible connections to the Nox suggests they were inherited, repurposed, and absorbed into a newer regime rather than built by it. The strongest piece of evidence comes from where the Guardian Golems are found. Again and again they appear alongside some of the oldest structures in Elden Ring. Massive stone pillars, ancient arches, forgotten ruins carved directly into the landscape. Sometimes these locations feel disconnected from later civilizations like Leyndell, Stormveil, or even Castle Mona. The architecture surrounding the golems belong to an era that predates the political powers we know, and the golems fit within these ancient environments. They don't look like guardians that were recently assigned to these locations, but more like they were always there. The Golden Order often reuses what comes before it. We see this pattern repeatedly throughout Elden Ring. Existing traditions were absorbed, existing structures were repurposed, existing symbols were reinterpreted, and the Guardian Golems fit perfectly into this pattern. Rather than being constructed by the Golden Order, they appear to be relics inherited from an older world. A world whose builders may no longer even be remembered. One of the most compelling theories I've met connects the Guardian Golems to the Nox. The Eternal Cities are filled with evidence of advanced craftsmanship, strange technologies, and artificial life in Elden Ring. The Nox openly challenge cosmic powers and pursued knowledge that other civilizations feared. At first glance, they seem like ideal candidates for the creators of the Golems. There are several clues supporting this possibility. Dragon-skinned soldiers, creatures heavily associated with the Eternal Cities, look very similar to the Guardian Golems, and meanwhile, Nox possessed both the ambition and technical ability necessary to construct massive artificial guardians. The theory becomes even stronger when considering the role of the Nox as opponents of the higher powers. If the Guardian Golems were created as defensive weapons, the Nox would have had every reason to build them. But there is another possibility that I find even more interesting. What if the Nox inherited them too? Eternal Cities themselves may have been built upon the ruins of an older civilizations, ancient dynasties, pre-Earth Tree cultures, and the lost builders responsible for the giant stone architecture scattered throughout the lands between. If that is true, then the Guardian Golems may have been passed through multiple civilizations. First created by a forgotten race, later controlled by the Nox, eventually seized and repurposed by the Golden Order. Instead of having one owner, the golems may represent thousands of years of shifting power. Guardian Golems remind me the military hardware inherited from a previous age. Their distribution feels practical rather than cultural, as they appear where they are useful. When a civilization creates something, its identity is usually reflected in the design. The architecture, symbolism, and purpose tend to align. The Guardian Golems don't align with the Golden Order design philosophy. Compare them to the Earth Tree burial watchdogs, for example. Those constructs are explicitly connected to the Earth Tree and serve a specified Golden Order function. Their purpose is clear, their symbolism is obvious. The Guardian Golems are different. They feel older and more sophisticated, almost as if later craftsmen understood how to activate them, but not how to build them. That would explain why the Golden Order used them without claiming them. It would also explain why they appear scattered across the regions that existed long before Marika's reign. The Golden Order may have discovered these machines left behind by earlier civilizations and simply put them back into service. Not creators, just new owners. And the most fascinating possibility is that the Guardian Golems are not primarily a Nox or a Golden Order mystery. They are the previous civilization mystery. There are signs of an ancient culture buried beneath nearly every major historical lore in Elden Ring. The Eternal Cities, ancient dynasty, giant ruins, colossal skeletons, divine towers, the endless stone arches stretching across the landscape. These elements feel connected. Not directly perhaps, but historically. The Guardian Golems fit comfortably into that same category. Massive constructs built at a scale that later civilizations of lands between struggled to replicate. Guardians whose original purpose may have been forgotten long ago. Weapons left behind by a civilization so ancient that even its name has disappeared from history. And if that is true, the Guardian Golems become living artifacts carrying traces of a lost world that existed long before the Golden Order, before the Earth Tree, perhaps even before the Nox. When all the evidence is considered together, the conclusion feels surprisingly straightforward. The Guardian Golems do not resemble Golden Order creations. They are consistently associated with older architecture in Elden Ring. Their design suggests ancient craftsmanship. Their history appears connected to civilization that existed long before Maruka's rule. Whether they were originally built by the Nox, or a previous civilization, or by some forgotten empire that history has erased, one thing seems clear. The Golden Order found them, used them, repurposed them, but it didn't create the Guardian Golems. Thanks for watching, hit that like button and subscribe for more Elden Ring and other Souls-like games lore and guide videos, and stay sharp out there, Tarnished.